Hello, tubers and tubettes. My name is Dave, and I live up in Northern California. I'm going down memory lane, kind of talking about some of the things that happened to me when I was a younger man, and some of the impressions that it left with me, sometimes for the rest of my life. And this one here, I would probably have to say regret. So I'm going to talk about my girlfriend at the time. Her name was Jan Horner, and she was really the best girl in our little hometown. I mean, she's just a really good person. Her dad was a school bus driver, and her mother was a teacher. And so, she had a sister named Lori. And so, Jan and I were friends for a long time. And then eventually, I decided to join the Navy. When I got into the Navy, or when I was getting ready to go into the Navy, it was a scary time for me. And I think there was a lot of worrying about leaving everything behind. So there was thoughts that I had and thoughts I know that were put into my head about maybe, Jan and I could get married, and then she could come along with me. I wouldn't be by myself. That's kind of how I think I thought about it. And so before I went to boot camp, I had proposed to her, and we went down and we got a ring, and it was all very surreal and almost like it was another person, back in that time, because there was not a lot of thought put into it at all. I was just like, oh, you want to get married? Well, yes, I want to get married. And so we would find out, what duty station I was going to, and I got through boot camp, and she would send me letters all the time, which was really nice, to have somebody like, besides your mom and dad, that care about you so much that they would send you letters. And so, our relationship started like that. And then I realized once I got out of boot camp, I was starting to meet people from like Rhode Island and Florida, and I had never met anybody that wasn't from California. I really just didn't feel like that. I know in our little town we didn't have any black families, and I met some black buddies in the Navy, and they became really good friends. We became really good friends, and it just really opened up my eyes to the world. So when I came back from boot camp, I feel like I was a little bit different. Not a different person, but just a little bit different in the way that I thought. And so our next thought was to see where is our duty station going to be, or my duty station, and it was going to be on the island of Guam. And at the time, I was like very, I did not want to go there. I saw this little island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, and it was only 28 miles long and 8 to 10 miles wide. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I tried to change with other people, because you could change duty stations with people. I wanted to be on an aircraft carrier or a destroyer, would have been the best. I always imagine coming into port like in Hawaii with all of us in our dress white standing all the way around the deck. I just always thought that would be so cool. Although I don't think they ever do that when they're just coming into port. So anyway, I tried to change with everybody, and they would find out where the Guam was, and everybody said no, I'm not doing it. No, I'm not doing it. And so I finally just had to figure out I'm going to have to do it. So I traveled to Guam, and I came from the high desert, and the first thing I noticed when I stepped off that plane was just the humidity hit me like a wall. I mean, it was so humid there. It was like I was biting into the air, not breathing the air. So it was a tropical island. People that inhabit it are the Chamorro, and a lot of Filipinos. That's where I started running into a lot of Filipinos, and a lot of them were in the Navy. And I would get to go to different events just because I knew them. Very nice people, very friendly. And so once I got acclimated onto the base, it was called NAVCAMS. It was a communication station up in Guam, and I was a communications tech. Then I started realizing, wow, this world is a lot bigger than I originally thought from my little town in Newberry Springs. And I could almost see that the love that I had, if you could call it that, the affection that I had for Jan, it just wasn't strong enough. I could not imagine getting married and then bringing her there and then moving into the housing development part, having kids. I just could not imagine that at all. So even though she had already set about getting the wedding all set up, I had bought her a ring and everything, I did have to tell her I didn't want to get married. And of course it sounded stupid because it's not about you, it's about me. I had just grown so much being over there in Guam that even though she was the best gal in my little town that I grew up, I could see that there were other people that were just very interesting to me. Not just, women, but even my friends. They were so different than people I grew up with. So it was pretty devastating. I think that she had already worked up the invitations and stuff, and she had to let everybody know that we weren't getting married. Dave was not going to follow through with his promise, and my regret is that I led her down that path, and she was so happy. She had stayed exactly the same, but I had really changed, just in the year that I was in the Navy. And so we ended up breaking up, and then there was a time where I came back to the States after I was done with my military service, and she wanted to go on a little trip, just her and I, to San Francisco. And I said no, because at that point I pretty much knew I was not going to be with her. I didn't want to lead her on in any way, and later I found out, she had gotten married and had 2 kids. Now the really odd thing about all of this is I met my wife, I got married, and I think I had 2 kids at the time. And she had somehow found me, and I was working for MetLife. And she wanted me to come out and talk to them about life insurance. They lived in Paso Robles. I was like, oh, this is weird. I don't know if this is right to do. I think actually we went to a 10-year reunion, and that's where she first met Kim, my wife now. And then also the whole thing started about me giving them a quote on life insurance. Now Paso Robles is probably 3.5 hours away, so for me it was mostly about seeing her, talking to her, maybe apologizing to her, and then and I wasn't really concerned about selling insurance. And so I got to meet her husband, a very nice guy, and she seemed to be very happy. She had 2 kids, and everybody was very happy. And even though I started to apologize, he told me don't apologize because, we were both just kids. And I mean, we were really just kids, not knowing what we wanted and not knowing where we're going, not understanding the world, as it is. And so I appreciate the time I was, that we were together, but I know that it was not meant to be. It was so different than when I met my wife, Kim. I mean, I just had such a connection with her, and it was so deep, but I kind of got to recognize what was love and what was infatuation. And definitely with Kim, it was love. So as I go down memory lane, there's a couple of memories that come up like that are not good memories, and they're regrets. But I do think that if you have those kind of memories too, you really do just have to let it go, because you think about it and you're thinking how bad it was and how you could have handled it different, but you really can only handle it with the skills that you have at the time. And so when I started to apologize, and she told me, no, don't apologize, because we were both just kids, and I know you didn't do anything intentionally. And I didn't. I just couldn't figure out an easy way to get out of it. So I I just wanted to tell you guys that sometimes you are going to run into this. You're going to have periods of regret. But, you know, you do have to let it go, move on. And always remember that sometimes people see it a lot differently than you see it. You can see it as a place that, oh, I should have done this or I should have done that. But you have to think back to the skills and the knowledge that you had at that time. And then it's pretty clear to see that you didn't have the skills to negotiate or navigate those problems. So thanks for listening. Thanks to stay all the way to the end if you did. And I appreciate your guys' time. And I want you guys to have a great day. And I'll talk to you later.